My name's Chaffee, and I've been a pawn entertainer for 11 seasons, along with professional wrestler and a self-taught fire breather. And the makeup I'm doing today is my signature character, the Demon Warrior Nemesis. I'm going to start with a latex base, starting with liquid latex, which I'm going to spread across most of the upper part of my face. That's going to give some texture to the fantasy creature. I'm going to take out the human element, but I don't want it to look like I'm wearing a mask. Now, working with liquid latex, you want to be careful not to get it up into your hair too badly or too much in your facial hair. So I go along all the bare skin, even across the nose, and that'll just make it look like a creature's actual skin. Now, along with giving your face more texture, I'm going to be using prosthetics, and this will set up the base so the prosthetics will stick to your skin a lot better than if you just try to latex them on by yourself. Let that set up and dry for a little bit. The prosthetics I'm going to be using is going to be ear tips and horns. So cover the ears where the ear tips will cover, making sure I get the hair as much out of the way as possible. You apply the latex to your skin, then you also apply a thin coat to the prosthetic. And what that'll do, that'll let the latex bond right to itself, and it'll hold it on better. Set them off to dry. I like leaving the latex build up on my horns instead of cleaning them off each time. That way it gives it a more natural looking ridge, like it's growing right out of your head. Which is the look I'm going to accomplish with these using some skin effects. I pushed the horns through it, so that will definitely look like the horns grew right up out of the skin. Okay, latex doesn't have to dry completely for the prosthetics. So once the face starts set up, you can go ahead and start applying your prosthetic pieces. Put it on, just pinch it in a little bit, and you can use more latex and paint to cover up your edges then. Since mine's a fantasy character and a demon warrior, it doesn't have to look perfect. It would be expected I would have scar tissue. That one may take more latex, I'll have to see after it dries. I'm getting these set how I want them, making sure the skin effect is smoothed out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Paint will cover up the difference there. You can see how good the latex bonds right to itself. Okay, latex off to the side for now. May come back to that later. Now I'm going to start applying my base coat of paint. I'm using a foundation paint. Just need to get it with a damp sponge. Get the foundation wet, and be able to spread it all over the face. Sponge wasn't applying it heavy enough, so I was switching to a brush. And I put the heavier coat, let me blend everything in a lot better. Went up into the hairline. Not too concerned about covering the eyes completely, because I'll have another paint design that'll go over the black paint, like a war paint design. Right now I just want to get the quick base coat done. And the paintbrush also helps for getting around the facial piercings. brush or inside the ears. Can't get it with the brush, go back over it with a Q-tip to get down inside the ears. You also want to do the back of the ears and the back of the neck. You don't want any of the human skin showing. You want to take the paint down to whatever you're wearing for costuming. You want to take the paint just below the neckline of that. Then as the paint dries, you can go back and see where you need to touch it up. Darken it in to blend it. Foundation makeup is really good, especially for blending into hairlines, facial hair, or the top of the insides of the head. It'll wash right out. I spend a lot of my time interacting with crowds, so I have to pay close attention to details, spot what they might spot. If you've got really thick facial hair, you may want to consider shaving it or trimming it down. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to get through it to get your base coat to stay. Okay, now I got the base coat done. I'm going to work on doing my war paint design. The good thing about doing demons and fantasy creatures is you can make up any color scheme, any design you want, because no one can ever say, well, that's wrong. And it doesn't have to follow the rules of the natural world. Now, being a demon character, the war paint doesn't have to be nice, neat, and precise. As long as I get the shape of my design done. Okay, got the war paint design done. And I'm also going to use the gray to go over the facial hair. And make the facial hair stand out a bit more. And it'll also help cover up any of the flesh tone that's showing through. Foundation makeup, especially the gray, will turn lighter as it dries, as you can see what's happening with the war paint design. So it might look, when you first put it on, you don't notice it right away. But give it a few minutes and it'll really stand out. It's painting some of the places that need touched up. So using either a Q-tip or a thin brush, fill in the small areas that need touch up. Especially the little crevices up and down in the ears. It's always good before your show starts to have someone check for you. Make sure you've got the back of the neck covered, got the back of the ears covered. I also use a different shade of gray for the lips. Good thing about having the little compacts like this, it's kind of like a grease paint, kind of like camouflage paint, but you can carry it with you. And if you have to do quick touch-ups, pull it out, apply it real quick, put it away before anyone even notices it. Now for detail lines, since I've already used gray for the war paint, lips, and the hair, I want something different to use. So what I use for my detail, since my demon is a black-skinned character, I use a purple to do my shadowing and my details. So using a thin brush, getting it right on the tips, any place that would do shadow lines, I'll use the purple. Now just like when you first apply the gray, it's not going to look like it's on there, but it will stand out. Especially if you're making public appearances under white lights or sunlight. Add some detail lines to get the nose that wrinkled look. You want to try to wrinkle your face up, see where the lines appear. And then whatever color you're using for your shadow lines, color in those lines. And that's the other thing about using a war paint design, is you don't got to do a lot of detail work. Now I got to there and wanting to add more detail in to make it pop even more, really stand out. I think, what could you do for it? So what I like to do is add vein detail. Make it look like the veins are real close to the surface of the skin. And once again, going with that fantasy creature, what I use is a bright neon green paint to give myself green veins. This is an extremely thin brush, which makes it perfect for doing veins, though you may have to make a couple coats and passovers to get a solid line. And just wherever the horns are, randomly place about the face. Not forgetting the lower jaw, lower part of the face. And even up across the ears in places. Now I don't want these lines too heavy. I want them just like your normal veins under the skin, where you can see them in parts, they disappear, you can see them in other parts. Even down on the neck a few places. I don't put a lot down here because I will have necklaces and collars on, so a lot of my neck is going to be covered up anyways. Now another thing I add is a little bit of red under the eye to make the eye stand out stronger. I also recommend, though I don't have them at the moment, is contact lenses to take away the human aspect of the eye, especially wearing the dark paint and the war paint around my eyes. A set of contact lenses would really bring the eyes out. You don't need a lot of red. Like with the rest of this paint, it doesn't look like it's there, but once you stand back and look at the whole picture, it really does come out. Another last addition are fangs. These are form-fitted to my teeth. And all I gotta do is put them in. If I know I'm going to be out in front of the crowd for long hours, I can use denture adhesive. Now as for the arms will be covered by costuming, and I'll also have gloves on. I'll have the fingernails painted, or I'll have more prosthetics done to give me claws. But this is the basis for the character Demon Warrior Nemesis.